Welcome to yet another educative and informative episode at Business Reality with Adeni Ishuremi. My goal is to help you achieve success in agribusiness and to ensure that you get stability and value for every second you spend listening to any of my episodes. Do not forget to follow me on Spotify and YouTube to get more episodes or follow my website adenishuremi.com.ng to get access to my newsletters. I'm hoping that at the end of this episode, you're going to be getting value for every second you spent here. I'm grateful for your support and I expect more support. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoying the episode. Welcome. Good day to you. All right. So this is another week, another episode in Do Not Venture into Agribusiness Without this secret, right? And today we're looking at input provision. Input provision. That is the topical category we will be looking at today. And of course, this is so because you see, input provision is the next place you're gonna stop on your way into agricultural business. So whether you are a farmer like the former episode, which I talked about farming secrets. So if you've not listened to the farming secrets episode, which is episode 1, the main episode 1, then please go back and listen to it both on Spotify and on YouTube. But this time around, we're talking about the same concept, but an input provision, which is, as I said, the next thing you're going to eat on your way into the agricultural business proper. And what does input provision safeguard, right? It is everything that goes into your agricultural businesses, your farm, your agricultural processing business, whatever it is you're adding value to, or even the farming production itself, everything that goes into it that makes it into what you want it to become. So, for example, you set out to start a potato farm. Now, everything you get to spend or you get to utilize going into that business are all part of what, to be candid, serve as input into that business you are going into. And the goal at the end of the day is that you produce potatoes that you can sell. So now, if, let's say, for example, you now want to make bread, right? So that's a value-added product. You want to make bread from potato flour, right? And so for you, input for a bakery that want to make potato bread or bread from potato flour, everything that goes into that business, right, that serve as the raw materials that helps you achieve a bread made from potato flours. So that is how input provision matters in the two space. Whether in agribusiness or in the farming subsector part of the business of the sector of the agricultural sector, input provision is tantamount to the success of any farming or agricultural business. And that's what we're talking about today. The secrets you have to know to succeed in it, right? And you don't want to venture into this business without knowing these secrets. And it's nothing good at all. Of course, before I go in and I'm like speaking for almost 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, I want to remind you that, of course, you want to make sure that you follow all of this series because while you may not be in one part of the subsector or the other, you come to understand that they are tightly knitted and related to each other's. Right, so the farming secrets relate to the input provision secrets, then they relate to other secrets like export and import, and it's related to agri-tech secrets, then finance and all agri-finance secrets, and then all other secrets. So, of course, there are something for you to pick from each secret when you look at them in a topical approach. And outside that, it could also help your expansion within the sector largely. You see, there's something in the last episode, which I will keep saying. There's some people that have gone through lesser challenge than we have in the agricultural sector and are dead as a business. And there are some that are gone through much more challenge than we have, right? And they are alive, right? So, and it's, you see, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And it is reality whether or not it is believed or not, right? And there are some people that have experienced more problem, and then that problem literally became so big it killed them. Right? Some people that experienced lesser problem and did better with it. So, and I'm in between. I'm saying that I myself am still standing. 9 years in, I'm still standing. I'm not dead yet in the sector. And I won't lie to you, there are very beautiful moments of joy, excitement, ecstasy, and like testimonies and all. And there are days in the sectors that are like, I just want to stop this thing. I'm done. I'm done with the sector. The sector will not kill me. There's that part, there's that lament. So there are all of those emotions in the sector. But then only, of course, I was lucky enough to go through a lot of training, entrepreneurship programs on business in itself, right? And then, of course, I was lucky enough to also go into some that are targeted to agriculture. But you know what I would have loved most, right? I would have loved a system where there is more like people are paid, right, to work practically hands in hand with entrepreneurs in the agricultural sector, because it is a very, very tricky thing. So for example, there are a few people in Nigeria that are building that mindset. For example, the from Samson Ogbole movement, right? Now they are working alongside farmers to help them stabilize and get practical knowledge. Now that's what in our days would have been much more helpful, right? But then I'm glad that it's happening now. I'm glad that someone saw that gap and is filling that gap, right? I'm glad I'm filling my own gap as well, and I'm glad someone is filling that gap as well. So input provision, as I said, are of different types. I already explained what input provision is. Everything that goes into that particular agricultural business that makes it into what you dream of it to become. So that's input, right? We've gotten that part out. Now there's farm input and there's the agribusiness inputs. Now I use this category not because that's the general category you're going to find out there, but because that's the category I want to use in explaining all I'm going to say, right? So when I'm talking about the farming input, I'm talking about things like you see your seeds, your chemicals, your equipment, your fertilizers, and human resources, right? That is going to be the input. Right? In the value in the agribusiness side, I'm talking about everything that every agricultural product that carries value, right? That you pick raw materials and then you convert them to beautiful finished products, whether it is for food, the food sector, or it is for also the agricultural sector back. Like, for example, there are some agricultural businesses that plow back to the agricultural sector. Example is the feed business, where you mill fields, you bag and package it, and then you sell it back to farmers, right? But instead of you pick crop farmers' raw materials, repackage it and rebrand it, and then you make it look good with good nutrients and all, and then you sell it to the livestock farmers, right? Now, livestock farmers will take this and then they will produce meat that now goes as protein into the populace, right? Or that goes to the population, general population, right? That is now, these are what I talk about when I talk about agribusiness inputs, right? I'm talking about people that pick raw materials, whether from the or livestock's part of the farming system or the crop side of the farming system, and convert them to finished products that are now being sold to the market, right? That are being sold to people that will consume them, people that will consume them, and that's beautiful, right? So these are the two levels of people I'm going to be referencing this input provision secret within the agricultural sector. So what are the example of things that makes you know that okay, this person is into value addition, right? So of course there is a raw material, and it depends on what it is that person wants to produce. If you're looking at producing feed, for example, then there's the maize as raw material, there's guinea corn as raw material, there's soybean meal as raw material, there's PKC, there's many of them like that. They're quite extensive. So now all these things outside that as well, then you have the equipment, the milling and all of those things, they are equipment as well. Then of course you have the human resources, and then of course you have the modern equipment that you also need to put things in place. So these are one things you need to do. All these things are called input provision. So now we're not going into this input as a business. That's input provision as a business. What secrets must you know? It's very, very important. After all, that's why we are here, right? Secrets you need to know before venturing into input provision business, input provider business, input sales business, input whatever business. As long as you're selling inputs, you're selling what is needed for farmers, agribusiness specialists, or professionals to go on a whim and produce what they want to produce. Go on a whim and become what they want to become in the agricultural sector. Yes. So what do you need to know? to succeed in that space. So now let's take it clearly and smoothly. So the first thing I'll tell you is that this is part of agricultural business is quite a very stable business, right? It has its own ups and downs, but it's much stable because the variables are still predictable to some extent. So talking about variables, we'll talk about market dynamics, right? It's stable to some extent. Let's take, for example, someone is selling. We'll pick examples. I can't pick all examples because then we'll be on this podcast for 2-3 hours. So I'm just going to pick example both on the crop and the livestock side. And I'll pick example from also the agribusiness value addition side of things. So let's pick seed producer, sales. That's input providers that sell seeds as input for you to make your as people that sell seeds as a business, right? And their input providers, they avail seeds. So, for example, this year now there was a challenge around GMO maize seeds. Candidly, GMO had been existing in Nigeria for a while, right? But now I think this year it was pushed as a major product to be sold. It was pushed as a major product to be sold this year by the government and by various research institutes to ensure that there is increase in food production. Of course, they want to make sure that the country is able to meet with its food security targets. By the way, Nigeria was recently named as the second most food insecure country in the world. Second, right? I don't even know how they achieved that, but then we're seeing the reality in Nigeria anyway. But the summary there is, for us to achieve, we need more products, and GMOs are genetically modified in a way that the bad part is eliminated as much as possible while the good part is elevated. The only problem is that most of these GMOs, you need the seed all the time to cultivate them. They are not self-sustainable, right? So you have to keep buying and buying and buying and buying most of them till you're able to achieve really the results you want. And of course, that takes the power from the farmers, and sometimes this can be a challenge to the farmers. So these are for example, now you sell seed. Now, what could your reality be, right? Because I'm using what sector is there, like it's a stable part of the sector. But then how stable exactly? That means is dependent on the product you are selling, because stability differs across products, right? So for someone else that selling that seed now, that means GMO seeds. Then there was a program that came out and said, "It's a lie. It is the act of the world cabals that they want to cripple Nigeria's agricultural system, and then of course will make you dependent on them, reliable to the point where you cannot do anything without them anymore." And there was just so much stuff going on, right? Information's going out there. And before you know, those selling GMO-oriented seed took a nosedive in their sales. But then what happened sporadically was that in the north, because I was in the north earlier this year, towards the early middle of this year. So, and then I noticed that those that were doing GMOs, right, were having better yield than those that were not using GMOs. What we saw was that there was a shift back to buying GMOs, right? There was a demand back. So now those instability came across from, say, general perception of how people see GMO as a product in Nigeria. And then this thing candidly fluctuated the sales margin for those that they're selling the seed GMOs, right? Now, for that maize particular product. And those instabilities are based on informations that are driven out there. So these are some of stability you see in that space. But outside that, most seeds are built to last a year to 2 years, right? And so, particularly when they have been processed in a way, and you realize that if it's not even sold in the first season, it could be sold in the second season or third season, because maize can literally grow like. And these days, most like 80 to 90% of the mazes are drought resistant, so you could even plant them with little waters, right? So those are the things that are there going on right now. And don't forget that these days they're really championing solar pump, something that revolutionized Indian farming space. Now it's being championed in Nigeria as well. So which means that of course we will be seeing a lot of dry season farming improve over the years. And those are an example of how the market can take something as simple as a seed and what someone that is in a seed space, particularly maize, can expect from the business, right? And so, but overall, it is overall stable. The the propensity for loss is only going to come if the owner of the farm does not have a clearly made or clearly laid out plan about their farm business or their business in its entirety. And I'll talk about that secret that would expatiate this. Now, I'm sorry I'm using I'm using only said. As I said, I can't use all examples. I'm still going to take another example from the value addition side of things as much as possible. I'm going to take another example of that, please, shortly, but until then, let's just move down. This is the second secret. So, in this, the second secret is that demographics survey analysis matter in this sort of businesses, right? When you're into the input provision as a business, see, demographic analysis and survey, they matter a ton, right? They matter so much, because if you don't put them into perspective, I promise you that you're going to have a lot of issues. For example, you want to go into that, say, that maize input, maize seed as an input that you want to provide particularly, but then you didn't say, like, you didn't account for the fact that there are not a lot of maize farmer in that area. Or probably they are maize farmer in that area, but then they don't have, let's say, they don't have the land mass that will require them to uptake a lot of seeds from that environment. Knowing fully well that you may or may not be the only one, you may not be the only one selling that seed variety or a provisional seed that is good to the people over there. So if you don't do your demographic survey or analysis very well, you may end up having so much issues with uptaking. And you see, with agriculture, right, implicitly linked to agricultural farmers, it requires strategic sense of doing business. Because if you don't, right, you could have that seed and the place could be a fast-moving environment, but then you will just notice that you're not making sales. And that's not what any input provision farmer wants. So, of course, you have to integrate to the environment, integrate with association, integrate with farmers network, so you're able to get as much of what is available as possible in terms of clients anyway. So it's very important. That's another secret that you must know. Demographics of the analysis of that area matters. The number of people there, the population, their size, their age, the gender partition, the historical analysis of that area as relating to different farmers. So those things matter a lot as much as possible. Now, also another secret that is important that you must know is the marketing mix secret, right? Input provision business is not just about farm alone, right? It's also a well-laid business that requires strategic planning, requires sitting down, writing, planning, drafting, projecting, and all of those things, right? It's very, very important. So marketing mix coming. And I've done podcasts about marketing. If you want to go through it, just go to my podcast, either on YouTube. Oh, you're not going to see it on YouTube. We're going to see it on Spotify instead. You can search for the marketing mix, the price, the promotion, the place, the people, the people, the price, the place, the promotion. Yes, I think there are about 5 in total, right? I don't know. I'm not getting the 5th one because then there's price, there's people, there's promotion, there's place. I'm just not getting my hands on the 5th one. Yes. So, but you need all the 5. You also need to know about the 5 marketing mix, right? So, and you have to know from the beginning. And if you're way advanced in what you're doing, don't worry. Just start knowing it right now. You understand it does your business a lot of great deal. And now that brings me to the 4th secret. Documentation is everything, right? Now, saying that it's input provision business is. You guys sitting down, documenting, writing, projecting, planning, all those things. And so documentation matters to you, right? If you have staff, you need to know how to manage your staff, financial record, inventory record, all those things. You need to have all those knowledge, right? Now, if you don't have one and you've got an input provision business that is worth over 5 to 10 million, let's say between 5 million upward, right? You have such a business that is into innovation and you don't have record system, you don't understand how the marketing mix works, just how demographics issue works, please book a consultation with me and let us help you quickly put them in place as fast as possible. What I would do is I will just listen to where you are in your journey and see if you should be scared that you don't have all those things or not. And if you are not yet there, then I can tell you that take it slow, learn it at your pace, and grow at your will. But then if you are far and then you're not doing this thing, of course you may be going by, maybe succeeding right now, but it's going to keep getting stressful. Your success will look stressful, but it shouldn't be. You have to automate and structure things better. Now, having said that, most likely the next part now is that you get to um, expand strategically, right? And this is the last secret I'm giving, right? So I'm going to put this last secret as an explanation. Without strategic expansion plan, right, you could be doing well and stop doing well at some point. You see, some people are naturally good at staying safe. That they work themselves out of the competition. They're working themselves out of the business, right? So when you achieve results where you are right now, don't stay comfortable there. Join more network, join more session, join more regions, and try to sell beyond your space. Some people say because this is where this is where my shop is. I want to target my 6 mile radius or 6 kilometer radius of this environment. That is not right, right? Use the social media. And that's the last secret, right? I have to put as an explanation. Have a social relatable presence where you're targeting farmers in different parts of your region. So if you are on 5 mile radius coverage, increase it to 100 miles radius using social media. Increase it to 2,000 mile radius using social media. Go on conferences as a speaker or as an attendee. It helps you build your network, expand, partner with the right people that you do webinars, do summits. If you can't host it, if you can't create it, join some people that will help you host it or that will invite you on it to talk about what you do. You don't have to be on radio. I think I met some people that's like, if I get loud enough, radio and TV would notice me and then I will invite me. And with that publicity, I'm going to have more audience. Sometimes you don't have to wait for radio and TV. I've gotten that over time. But I can tell you that you can do something without even going there, right? You can come out, have your voice heard, have your structure spoken for you to achieve the result that you need. Now, I've given you the 5 secrets that I think would help in input production business. So basically, I've given you everything I believe you will need to achieve understanding about input production secrets or business secrets, particularly as related to farming. Now, we're talking about an example, right, for agribusiness, particularly for agribusiness, when you're adding value addition. So let's pick, say, like poultry feed producers as an example. The first secret I talked about was a stable category, right? So is the feed business a stable category? So it's a yes and a no, depending on how you're seeing it. For example, poultry had an upward trajectory in a very disturbing way in Nigeria, but that doesn't mean it's not a stable space. If you pay attention to the news or to the region, like the poultry farmer system, you understand that those that are quitting are not actually the feed producers. Why is this the case? It's because the feed producers don't determine the price of the products. It's only it's not the feed sellers, right, that don't determine the price of the product. It's the producers that determine it, and these producers as well are buying raw materials, so they don't actually create prices without brain. They actually buy maize, all the raw materials from farmers, and then they use what price they've gotten to calculate and determine the price of what they get to sell their product as. And then the retailers, wholesales and retail chain pick it up and then they convert it into a price that works for them and sell based on, say, logistical costs, based on supply chain costs, based on warehousing costs, retailing costs, and probably even last mile delivery costs. So these are things that control those prices. And because what they're just doing is they are moving with the emotions of the market, right? So they eventually just transfer price as opposed to creating things out. They transfer prices, and at the end of the day, you just have to buy what they've got. Particularly if you've got poultry beds. So poultry beds are very, very complex. Their only is just to wake up and eat so much that they produce what you want. You don't give them food, they either wilt and die away. And that's what their reality is typically all about. So as a poultry farmer, the price keep increasing, you have to buy. Because the offset there is, of course, you may need to quickly just sell off your beds or sell off your products as soon as possible. But you see, those that have the other part of my secret succeed in those space. So, as I said, input provision, particularly talking about the feed market space, right? It's fairly stable, depends on how you're seeing it. For someone that have all the other secret figured out, you understand that it's quite stable. it's a bit bumpy. How bumpy now determines on how well you're well projected for it. So early this year, I had a forecast made, and that forecast talked about what Nigerian agricultural rights is going to look like. Now, for me, right, as the sectors keep changing, I'm not surprised. I'm not happy about it, but I'm not surprised. So instead of I spend less time trying to understand why there's a certain madness around the changes, and instead I spend more time trying to quickly solve it and move ahead about it. That's because I've projected and I've planned well. Now, same thing with those that have proper plans, they are able to achieve stability. So as I said, it's stable. It just depends on how you've positioned and planned yourself. So, of course, the second secret to this feed business, as I said, demographic survey analysis, it matters a lot. You can't keep producing a product people are not going to buy, right? So, and that's how it affects the feed space. But feed space, trust me, Nigeria's poultry has been going down, but doesn't mean that people are still not buying. They're still buying, right? I've set up poultry farm people, and I'm still setting up, and we have in-house as well. So, of course, I can tell you that all the secrets, profit, input provision secrets matters a whole lot, and they all bring about the best in you as someone that goes into a professional business. So these secrets matters a lot. You put them into perspective, you're going to succeed at them. And as I said, agriculture is not a walk-through business. You're going into it, please have a structural plan that covers years, not something that looks like, okay, if I can go in the first year, I can start making 30% return from the first year. Please, if that is where you're coming from, think it through, because I wouldn't want you to have surprises that will push out of the business. So that's that basically about that one. Of course, I do hope you're going to listen, comment, share your feedback, and it most likely follow. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope, particularly high, that you've been able to get something concrete from this episode. Do not just listen to my episode, but take value with it. And once you take value, you're certain to succeed. The difference between you and the person that doesn't take steps is that you take step and you're guaranteed of a result, and that result becomes a success. And I will be here to listen to all you have to say as regarding the steps you've taken and the result you've gotten. Follow me across social media handles: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and every other part. Or better still, search my name on Google and you'll get so many access to my content. And also ensure that you follow my podcast for more informative sessions. Thanks so much for your time. I can't wait to have you again. Have a wonderful day.